Thanksgiving dinner was always tense in the Carrington household, but this one was something else. The mansion's dining hall glowed under antique chandeliers. A long table overflowed with gourmet dishes, most untouched. The silverware gleamed, but the air had weight, like everyone was waiting for something. Maybe it was the way my wife's mother, Eleanor Carrington, kept dabbing her lips with a napkin, as if rehearsing lines in her head. Then she finally said it. "We're selling the family estate," she announced, resting her fork down with dramatic precision. "The Carrington mansion. It's time." Gasps, then silence. My wife's two brothers, Blake and Tyler, exchanged looks before bursting into applause. Finally, Blake laughed. $60 million. About time we cashed out. "Who's the buyer?" I asked, sipping my wine. Tyler grinned like a boy who'd won a prize. "Summit Enterprises. They closed this morning." I paused, letting the name hang in the air. Then I smiled. "I know," I said calmly. "I own it." The entire table went silent, blinking again. Eleanor looked like she'd been slapped with a velvet glove. My wife stared at me, color draining from her face. "You what?" "I bought it. Summit Enterprises is a holding company I started 2 years ago. Quietly, under a different name." "You're lying," Blake muttered. "No," I said, reaching into my jacket and pulling out a folder. "Here's the paperwork. Signed, sealed, wired. Congratulations, you just sold the Carrington legacy to me." Let me rewind. 4 years ago, I married into the Carrington family, a name synonymous with wealth, lineage, and expectations. I wasn't one of them. I was the outsider, the ambitious tech guy who wore suits off the rack and didn't attend Ivy League reunions. My wife, Rachel, had seen something in me that her family never did, or so I thought. Back then, the family business, Carrington Holdings, was on the verge of bankruptcy. Bad investments, outdated models, internal fraud. They were bleeding money, but their pride refused help. That's when I stepped in. For 4 years, I poured my life into that company. I overhauled operations, introduced new tech, restructured debt, found new investors, and sat through meetings that lasted until dawn. I saved that company from collapse while the Carrington brothers played golf in Monaco. Eleanor always said, "You're part of the family now," but I saw the way she looked at me as useful, not valuable. She believed bloodline was the only currency that mattered. Even Rachel had changed. The deeper I got into their world, the more distant she became. She didn't want a husband. She wanted an executive she could parade. We stopped laughing, stopped touching. Our love became a transaction. But I stayed, not for the money, not even for her. I stayed for the challenge, for the quiet part of me that wanted to prove I belonged in a room they tried to shut me out of. Then came the betrayal. Last year, I learned that while I was busy rebuilding Carrington Holdings, the family quietly changed the bylaws, stripping me of any future equity. No shares, no stake, no thank you, just a handshake and a smile once the company was profitable again. Rachel knew. She signed it, never told me. When I confronted her, she said, "It's complicated. It's family." That's when I knew I wasn't part of it. I never was. So I walked, not with noise. Quietly, I stepped down, liquidated some of my assets, formed Summit Enterprises through a third-party trust. Over 2 years, I built it into a shadow buyer, offering silent capital to struggling companies, flipping them, stacking cash. I kept it faceless, invisible, just another firm with more money than time. Then I saw the mansion listed. They thought it would go to a developer, someone who'd turn it into a luxury resort or tear it down for condos. They had no idea the buyer was me. Until tonight, Eleanor's voice cracked for the first time in years. "Why would you do this?" "You told me I was getting nothing," I replied, "so I bought everything instead." Tyler's fork clattered against his plate. "You think this makes you one of us now?" "No," I said, standing slowly. "It proves I never needed to be." Rachel's eyes welled up. "You planned this for years?" I looked at her, heart aching with the weight of what we once were. "No, Rachel. I plan on growing old with you. But while I was building a future, you were rewriting the past without me. I left the folder on the table and walked out. The mansion would stay, for now. I'd keep the land, preserve its history, not out of spite, but because I believe in legacies built, not inherited. And as I stepped into my car, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free.